And turning now to another sensational murder trial that is beginning this week in Idaho, where Lori Vallow is accused of killing her two youngest children. Police say she's part of a Doomsday cult and that she and the cult's leader murdered the kids and the leader's wife after deciding they were all possessed. Jury selection is almost complete. Opening arguments will begin soon. And joining us with the latest in Boise, Idaho is NewsNation senior national correspondent. Brian, you've got to get a shorter title. I think, it's just too important and big. Yeah. What's going on? How's jury selection going? What kinds of questions are they asking potential jurors?
Well, finally, Elizabeth, it seems like jury selection is starting to wrap up. They've been asking all sorts of questions about whether they're familiar with the Lori Vallow case, the way they would possibly process evidence. It's so disturbing on so many levels, this case. I've been talking to people who knew Lori Vallow, who say at one point she was a wonderful woman. She was the kind of lady that if you went to a party, you didn't know anyone, she'd immediately come up to you, she'd give you a hug. But then they say she joined the Doomsday cult.
Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids?
No comment.
No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
It's so hard to wrap your mind around how Lori Vallow, a once loving mom, could do the unthinkable. But people who knew her say they saw her change. How does someone who you knew as a very nice person go from that to being able to, or being accused of killing her children?
I think you have to really understand them as a people and their belief system.
People once in Lori's circle, like this woman who only wants to be identified as Jess, say Lori was always religious, a devout Mormon, but then got sucked into Chad Daybell's Doomsday cult, where he taught followers about a light and dark rating system for people to specify whether they had a contract with God or Satan.
They don't see the zombies as people. They see them the way someone would see a cockroach being controlled by a parasite. Killing the kids to them is mercy. And as disturbing as that is, and as hard as it is to wrap your mind around it, that's why someone who spent all these years being kind and loving could then do that.
Cult experts say there's no way to profile the kind of people who can be manipulated into joining a cult. In fact, people who are smart and educated often fall prey, and the extreme beliefs can be hard to erase. Do you think Lori Vallow is sitting there in the courtroom, still in a trance, believing that what she did to the kids was the right thing?
I don't know if I would call it a trance, but it's some sort of belief system, what I've heard. And I also don't know if I'd say that she thinks she did the right thing. Maybe she does. But I don't think she thinks she did the wrong thing, that she is still a believer of some very extreme beliefs to this day.
Jess believes Lori is still holding on to her zombie beliefs because she says it may be the only way Lori can mentally cope with killing her own children. What do you think about now when you think about Lori?
They were so evil. I think about the fact that a person that killed children touched me. And I think about how I want to rip my skin off.
And you can imagine, Elizabeth, how hard it is for people who knew Lori. It was hard when they went through this when she was arrested years ago, and now it's sort of drumming it all back up with the court process. Jury selection seems like it's finally wrapping up. Just a couple more decisions to make inside the courthouse behind me. Opening statements could begin as soon as tomorrow morning. Elizabeth?
Wow. And we know that Chad Daybell is also accused of murdering Lori's two children and his wife. They haven't released any cause of death. They've been very close. They've kept that information very close about cause of death and what they think actually happened. And you say that the questions that they were asking the jurors might lead to some evidence that she might not have been present at the murders, but obviously still guilty because she helped plan them?
Yeah, it's been interesting, some of these questions. We're trying to decipher what the lawyers are getting at when they question these potential jurors. A couple of the questions have been things like, when there's a bank robbery, would you blame the getaway driver as much as you would blame the actual robber? They also asked jurors a couple of times about a cookie jar. They said if you had kids who stole cookies from a cookie jar and there were crumbs left to the jar, next to the jar, and you never actually saw the kids take the cookies, could you still presume that they actually stole those cookies? So clearly the attorney's trying to get in the minds of these potential jurors as they make their final decisions. Again, opening statements could start tomorrow.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.